Welcome back, y'all. For those who are coming back, or maybe this is your first time watching this via my podcast or my YouTube or however you are watching this, welcome. Or maybe even Instagram. I am on Instagram as well. I am Dr. Samaria. I'm the founder of Kingdom Creative Counsel. That is a licensed mental health agency. We're located in Greensboro, North Carolina. I was going to say downtown Greensboro, and we're still downtown Greensboro, but just give me a little more time. I'm going to move the location a little bit further from downtown Greensboro, but it's still gonna be Greensboro. So gotta get used to all the changes. Anyway, welcome. So I'm a licensed therapist. I have 16 plus years of experience working in the field of mental health. What else about me? I've written I've written 60 books actually. And my goal is 100 within the next 5 to 10 years. And the way I'm rocking and rolling, y'all, I'm gonna get to it, okay? I do podcasts and all kinds of things to help bring about emotional healing and wholeness. So the difference between me and maybe a traditional therapist is I integrate my faith principles. I integrate my faith to principles to bring about lasting change. And I was saying, for those who don't know, I, in my private practice, tend to address more people who are in leadership positions than I have in like the previous work that I have done. So these are Christians who identify as leaders in their field of practice, whatever that field of practice is. And most of them are in some type of ministry platform within their churches as well. So we're kind of dually integrated here. And so the other half of my life and my journey is to study leadership development. This is what I did my doctorals on. And how do we help individuals be healed and whole from a biblical perspective, but also learning leadership development and training from a biblical perspective as well. So that's my journey here. And now we're going to talk about today, how do I know I'm ready to lead? Okay. Now I wrote a book called Learning to Lead. And that was biblical principle training and development. Okay. Read a lot of books about leadership. The next book that I'm going to advertise today, because this is a shameless plug, y'all. This book I wrote in 2020 is called The Makings of a Great Leader, the process of preparation and positioning of a spirit-led leader, because there is no leadership position you should ever be put in without a process, understand? And so the other book that I have written, and I wrote this book, I don't know when, I want to say this is 2020, I should probably look, huh? I also wrote this book in 2020, excuse me, and this is called The Time Has Come for You to Lead. Both of these books are kind of subsets of what I did in my research, my doctoral work. Now, it is not going to be written in the same language and the stats and all that kind of stuff of a dissertation. I took all the technical language out and made it readable to the everyday person, but these are two of my babies here that I absolutely that came from that work. Okay, and you're gonna get some value from it. So if you think you're called to lead and you're making the right leader, get this one, or just get both of them. Get both of them. You get the paper copy, and guess what, y'all? I have posted some more books on my digital product list. So go to my website at www.drsamariacobra.com. You can download a copy immediately. Okay, so how do I know I am ready to lead? Now, you thinking you know it and being ready are two different things. And that is what I really, really talk about a lot, because oftentimes people have a bird's eye view of leadership. And so they see someone they enjoy, someone they like, someone that they admire. And sometimes you see the glitz and the glam, but you don't see the backside, the painful places or the stressful places, or the things that God has had them to endure to be put in that position. And so how do I know I'm ready? Because it is a rookie move. It's not a character flaw. It is a rookie move, just in general, to think that you are ready for something that you simply are not. God determines the time frame, okay? God determines when he will birth you. And sometimes you can have, I see it all the time, all the great makings of a spirit-led leader, but the oil is not on it. From a church perspective, when you see someone hooping, hollering, squalling, and there's no oil on it, when there's no anointing on it, it is an indication that you are trying to take something out of the oven and prepare it before people before it is time. Sometimes you got to wait on the timing of God, right? And so when there's no spiritual authority, when God has not operated you in his boldness, we holler, we squall, and we bawl. And okay, I feel it for me. We go through the charisma acrobats to supplement lack of anointing authority that God has released to you from God, right? And so that is the truth. So, but how do I know I'm ready? Because again, if you like me, we always think we're ready before we're ready. If it was up to me, honey, I'm in my 40s now. By the time I was 25, I would have been married with 3 kids, a dog, a white picket fence, a PhD, and 3 published books. Okay, that's me. We all have done it. We think that we are ready before we actually ready. And by the time I'm 40, honey, the dog is not there. I do not have a picket fence. I had published more than 3 books. By the time I was 25, I hadn't published. I think I just started my first book. Okay. And so my life was, I was in graduate school. So there was no husband. There was definitely no 3 kids. These kids ain't come yet. I don't know about the kids thing at this point. As I sound like to say, we all make plans, but God has the final say, and we have to submit to his process. But how do I know? How do I know? Point number 1, I say this P word a lot, and that is process. You have gone through a process. Now, the process, a lot of people don't know, is very painful. It's not all pain, but there is some pain involved. There is some, and I talked about this. You'll have a season of accusation. You have seasons of isolation. You'll have seasons of being overlooked, and you'll have seasons. So you'll have seasons of God developing you. And so when we look at how the process goes, we have to look at scripture, because in the secular world, they elevate based upon charisma. Who is the brightest, the smartest? No one's picking the player that no one wants. We want the best because we want to win. But remember, man looks at the outward appearance. God looks at the heart. God develops you in secret places, and he develops you behind the scenes. And sometimes you're going through things no one ever thinks, no one knows. But have you endured a painful process? Now, if your process has been wonderful and you just got straight A's and you were you were just the most, most likely to succeed, God really truly does not really choose those people. But he chooses the people that one before the foundation of the world, according to Jeremiah 1, but he chooses the people that are least likely to be chosen for his glory. So have you endured a process, and have you had some painful moments that you felt like giving up? That's when when you have endured the process. Sometimes people, they get on us as women because we're strong. Women are too strong, or Black women are too strong, but they don't understand. Sometimes you just become strong because you've had to endure. You've had to endure. So have you endured? We live in a generation that can't endure anything. We're just easily offended. You're ready to leave and offend, and you're offensive. You're not ready to leave because people will be offensive. You will be betrayed. You will be lied on. You will have smear campaigns. You will have people who don't like you. You will have people who will stab you in your back. And the process teaches you how to handle yourself as a Christian, how to endure. Have I endured the process? The next thing is really, really important is mastery. As master, you have to have a season or time or something you have mastered. I see people trying to start coaching businesses and what do they call them now? Training courses and master classes, and you have not mastered anything. I know someone will try to start a whole coaching business, a whole mentorship business, and haven't mastered anything. Not even mastered godly character. And so, what have you gained mastery over? Because listen, leading is leading. You cannot lead people from a place you have never been. Leading is not getting up in front of people and moving a crowd. Just because you're a singer does not mean you're supposed to lead something. It just means you're supposed to. So mastery requires development. And you have to have a season of completed work. They say in general, at least 10 years or at least 10,000 hours. Now, if you do 10 years, you got way more than 10,000 hours in a completed mastery area of focus. I'm a therapist, but I have 16 plus years of experience. When I first got out in the school of graduate school, they did not put me in a leadership position because I was not ready. I cannot call myself a leader when I was fresh out of school. Why are we putting people in positions of leadership who have not mastered anything? And we can tell when people have not mastered anything. How can you tell me something that you don't know? You cannot lead practicing on people. You have to know something. People say, well, David, David was called at 17. He did not really start leading until he was 30. And by the time he had his Goliath experience, he had mastered lions and tigers and bears. Oh my, leading actual sheep before he led actual sheep. So I see people, I'm leader, I'm leader, I'm leader. So what? Somebody has given you a title. What have you mastered? And we can tell by the nothing that you say, you mastered nothing. You cannot experiment on people. It's not a game. People's lives are at stake. With every new platform and every new position, watch this, of leadership and God's kingdom releases the Bible. No, this is Paul who said, he said, there's a great and effectual door that has been opened to me. And he says, with that door comes many adversaries. See, being put in positions and platforms releases new adversaries. And that's why you shouldn't be platformed and put in positions if you cannot master adversaries. And you do that in secret places. We're going to send the children home and put them to bed. And we're going to let the person who has mastered something teach us something. We're living in a day and time where people can do anything. They can put themselves on social media, master nothing. They can get a photo shoot. They can send emails and text messages to somebody and mastered nothing. When you are not ready, beloved, we know it. You are only fooling yourself. Master something. And that requires diligence. It requires patience. It requires study. So you cannot teach me something that you don't know. You can't Google this information. You have to master it. Right? So the point up that you have submitted to your season of isolation. I don't see it in the Bible where there was anyone who didn't have a season of isolation if they're called to leadership. That's every prophet from Jeremiah to Abraham to Jesus. Jesus tried to birth his own ministry at 12 years old. He got yanked up and he didn't start anything until 30. And the Bible doesn't tell us a lot because it's an isolation season for a reason, but it just says he grew. Moses had a season of isolation. David, seasons of isolation. Joseph, seasons of isolation. And so, and now let me give you isolation. Let me give you isolation. Let me give you this, this is kind of tidbit, because the church folk will get all, we go to the extreme. We say, I don't got to go to church, and I'm just going to sit in my house by myself with God. And that's not God either. The Bible says not to forsaken the assembly together amongst the saints. So you ain't so anointed that you can't go to church. You're not so anointed that you can't submit under someone's leadership. You're not that anointed. You understand? So when I say isolation, that just means times where you're hidden in plain sight. And I did a teaching, I don't know when, it was last year sometime, called Hidden in Plain Sight, when you are the answer, but you've been hidden in plain sight. Make sure you check that up. 2, you are ready when God says you're ready. Sometimes you are ready, but he's preparing the other people or the other person or the place or the space for you. But you're ready when God says. Sometimes God doesn't always tell you why you are being why you think you're being delayed. Sometimes it's the other people that he is preparing, because he's preparing your team. And so you want to have people you can't be the lone ranger, and you can be a type of person that's in front of people but still alone. And so the people that God has prepared for you on your team has to be ready. They have to have mastered something. They have to go through their own process. It is very I don't know the word I'm going to use. I don't want to say dangerous. It is very toxic. It's very stressful when you are the team member and you are the most anointed, I guess the most skilled on your team. You have to have other people who are skilled at this in different areas. They're not going to be skilled in the same area, but you can't have people that's kind of trying to learn and growing, and then you are the show, so to speak, because it doesn't really help you. Just add some more your stress and anxiety. Point number 5, you have to have a series of completed work. This is what I heard the Lord say to me over and over again as I'm getting ready to make some transitions in my life. And he said, Samaria, the work that you have done speaks for itself. And I kept hearing it over and over again this morning. The work that you have done speaks for itself. When you have truly mastered something, you can clearly see the completed work, what you have accomplished prior to leading. You can see that. Okay, there has to be something, even if you've done it in obscurity and hidden places, we have to be able to see what you have done. We're living in a world that we elevate gifts beyond fruit, but we must be a fruit inspector. What fruit have you produced that qualifies you? And you have to be qualified. Remember this, I said it before, and I'll say it again. There's a difference between being called and being chosen. Many are called, but few are chosen. And so oftentimes people assume that because I have a calling on my life, therefore I'm chosen. God speaks to us to a vision, a dream, a vision, And we think that I'm supposed to be start doing it right now. God said you're gonna be a prophet to the nation. You think I'm supposed to be a prophet right now. God tells you you're gonna be a great business owner, or you're gonna be a great millionaire, whatever. And you think, bam, I got the word today, I'm gonna start tomorrow. And what he's saying is this is your potential. Everyone has a call, but it's your ability to endure that process that that qualifies you to be chosen. Many are called, but few are chosen. And so by the time you finished your call, you gotten your call, and that space in between, you've been doing things. You've been waiting, but you haven't been waiting just idly. You have been waiting, preparing yourself for the next thing that God has called you to. So what have you completed in your work? And again, once you are completed, you may not be known by people, but you're known by God, and we can clearly see what you have completed. I see people all the time be like, first off, that's not good. What have you done? What have you done that qualifies you to then lead me somewhere? You understand? Just being gifted is not good enough. Everybody's gifted. Everybody can do something. Everybody can do something. You understand? I mean, you call it to lead. Everyone can write something. Everybody can preach, speak, or teach something. You understand what I'm saying? So what have you completed? Because that qualifies you. Point number 6, you've outgrown your current situation. Some things you just outgrow. And you know it because you have this sense of like mourning, like it's time to close this door. And so you've outgrown your current situation. And so you know that you're ready to lead when you just outgrow it. It doesn't satisfy you anymore. You're not growing anymore. You feel stifled or stuck being there. You've outgrown your current situation. Point number 7, you have not postured yourself in front of anyone. This is what the Lord spoke to me a few weeks ago about a vision that he gave me. And I kept saying, God, like, am I supposed to go after the vision? Because there's other people involved in the vision, and it was a clear vision. I knew it was from God. And he said, Samaria, no. He said, when I have called you, he said, when I have chosen you, I'll send a prophet to you. He said, oftentimes people who have not been chosen go after great men and women of God for positions and platforms, but I have not chosen them. He said, but when I've chosen you, I will send the prophet to your house. And he reminded me of him, how he sent the prophet Samuel to Jesse's house to anoint David, who was behind the scenes. Then he reminded me of Elisha, who was sent to Elisha's house by God told him where to go. And so God knows where to send the prophet to you. And so oftentimes people have postured themselves. That simply means, in modern day terms, you have gone after a great man or woman of God to be positioned a platform. So how do we do that? You send a text message. You have got a photo shoot. You have sent an email requesting a meeting saying, I am your next, let platform me. And hopefully if they had discernment or not, if they have done some research here. But those people have not been chosen because you've platformed yourself and you've tried to go after yourself. So you can't network your way into your kingdom assignment. I said you can't network your way into your kingdom assignment. We got 3 more to go, then we're done. Doors are closing. Sometimes you keep trying to push a door open where you're at, and it's closing. It's closing on that job. It's closing on that relationship. It's closing on that space or place where you just feel it in your heart. This is not you. This is not where you belong. Doors are closing in this area. And remember, sometimes there is still a space between when the door closes and another door opens. It doesn't happen immediately. But doors are closing in this area. This is not going to work for me anymore. So doors are closing. When I first moved to North Carolina, a lot of people don't know this, I did not move straight to Greensboro. Even though I spent some years here in college, I lived in Cary, North Carolina. And so when it was time for me to move, I did not hear an audible voice say, move to Greensboro. Doors closed. The jobs that I had were just not working out. The last job I had, it was a mess, and I was so stressed out and tired. I started sending out my resume. I had time to breathe and think. I started sending out my resume in that particular area. I was getting no bites on it. And just doors started closing. The church that I was a member of at that time, there's some changes at that church. And so I just felt like that wasn't the place where God had, it was just time to move on there. So you start feeling like this it's time to move on, but just doors everywhere just closing around you. And that's indication that God is moving you to a different place. Now, I originally thought I'd move to Charlotte because I started looking at different places. I was traveling everywhere. And God opened up a door for me here, and this is my place. So doors are closing. Point number 9, you are completely different from the person that you used to be. You can look back over your life and when you first started this place, this position, this time, and you recognize I am not the person that I used to be. I'm different. I don't feel the same way. I'm not the same scared little person. I'm not unsure of myself. I've accomplished so much more. I cannot go backwards to what I was because I'm a different person. I'm a different person to the point where sometimes people will recognize you and they see that you physically look the same because maybe your features and your face is still the same, maybe your hair is the same, but there's something distinctly different. You have a new level of boldness, a new level of tenacity. You are different. You're not the person you used to be, and you see more value in yourself. You've accomplished more. And so when you realize I'm not the same little person that I used to be, you may be ready to lead. And point number 10, people look up to you and see you as a leader without your title. Most of the time, that is a clear indication. You don't have to have a title. You don't have to announce yourself. You don't have to make grand entrances. You don't have to say, I don't even like, if you know me, you know me. Like if you meet me, most people don't even call me Dr. Samaria. I introduce myself. I put that on my books because it indicates a some level of study, and I'm talking about things about training and development. You want to talk to somebody who knows their stuff. But when I introduce myself, I say I'm Samaria. But I have people that look up to me or they know who I am. Even in my isolation place, they know who I am, or they automatically feel this sense of respect for me, even though I feel like they respect me, even though I don't go by a title. And so when people look up to you, you don't need to tell. You don't have to put doctor in front of you. Now, I'm not saying don't do that. I think we have to respect people in position of leadership. Okay, I think we do that, but I'm not talking about amongst your peers. I'm talking about you walking in a room, people don't even know you, and they keep saying, "Is that her? Is that Samaria? Is that such and such?" You ain't gotta say, "I'm Minister such and such. I'm Doctor, Reverend Doctor." You ain't gotta say all that. But even if you do, like I said, no shade on it. But when you still are getting that level of respect, and people don't even know you, you know what I mean? And they still like, "Ooh, something different about you." And they automatically look up to you, or they're asking you questions, or even in the workplace, they're asking you questions like you the supervisor, but you're not the supervisor. Like, you understand what I'm saying? That's when you are ready to leave. And there are some other indications. However, my time is up for today. I do thank y'all. Make sure you pick up these 2 books. They're available on my website. You can do a digital copy or a paper copy. They are good, if I don't say so myself, because I did write the book. I did write the book. Make sure you pick that up. If you are, of course, a North Carolina resident, you may go to our website at www.kingdomcreativecounseling.com, and we'll be glad to serve you. And we're just glad to serve you. Okay. And any other things that you want, www.drsamariacobra.com. You can request a speaking engagements, and all my books and podcasts and all those things are going to be available there at www.drsamariacobra.com. And keep looking out. I just finished my next book for the month of May, and that is called Healing the Hurt of Broken Leaders. Just going through it. It's in the editing process right now. It's going to be out definitely before the end of the month. I'm really, really grateful and have gotten a lot of joy from writing that book. And it's going to be another powerhouse of a book. And that's it. Oh, training courses, www.trainingchristianleaders.com. We'll be back another day, another time, another banger. And make sure you follow me on social media, y'all. Bye.